Chapter 1. A Waltz Under Watchful Eyes. I never thought a Tuesday night shift at Marino's would change my life. The restaurant hummed with its usual evening crowd couples, sharing tiramisu, businessmen nursing espressos, families celebrating birthdays with too much wine and laughter. I'd been waitressing here for 2 years, long enough that the marble floors no longer hurt my feet and the smell of garlic and basil had become a comfort rather than a distraction. That's when I saw him, a boy, maybe 7 or 8, sat alone at table 12 near the back corner. He wore a navy suit that looked expensive even from across the room, his dark hair combed neatly to the side. But it was his eyes that caught me, deep brown, and impossibly sad for someone so young. He stared at the empty chairs around him, small hands folded on the white tablecloth like he was waiting for someone who would never come. My chest tightened. I knew that look. I'd worn it myself once, a long time ago. "Sophie, table 9 needs water," Marco called from behind the bar, but I was already walking toward the boy. "Hey there," I said softly, crouching beside his chair so we were eye level. "Are you waiting for someone?" He nodded, not quite meeting my gaze. "My father. He's always late." The words were matter of fact, rehearsed, like he'd said them 1,000 times before. No anger, no disappointment, just acceptance of something a child should never have to accept. "Well," I said, glancing at the small speaker in the corner, where Dean Martin crooned about Amor. "While you wait, would you like to dance?" His eyes finally lifted to mine, wide with surprise. "Dance? Sure. I'm on my break anyway, and this is a great song." I extended my hand. "I'm Sophie." He hesitated, then placed his small palm in mine. "Luca." I led him to the small clearing between tables, ignoring the curious glances from other diners. His hand was warm in mine, and when I showed him how to place his other hand on my waist properly, like a little gentleman, he followed with careful precision. We swayed to the music, his steps uncertain at first, then gaining confidence. A smile broke across his face, transforming him completely. He laughed when I spun him under my arm, the sound pure and bright in the dimly lit restaurant. "My mama used to dance with me," he said quietly as the song shifted to something slower, "before she went away." "I bet she was a beautiful dancer," I replied, my throat tight. "She was beautiful at everything." His voice carried the weight of loss no child should know. "Father says I shouldn't talk about her. He says it makes him..." He stopped abruptly, his gaze fixed on something behind me. The air in the restaurant changed. I felt it before I understood it, a shift in pressure, like storm clouds rolling in. Conversations didn't stop exactly, but they softened, grew cautious. The clinking of silverware became more careful. I turned. A man stood in the entrance, and the world seemed to reorganize itself around him. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than my car. His dark hair was swept back, revealing a face that was all sharp angles and controlled power. But it was his eyes, the same deep brown as Luca's, that pinned me in place. They swept the restaurant with the casual authority of someone who owned everything he looked at. When those eyes landed on me, still holding his son, something flickered in their depths. Not anger, something more complex, more dangerous. 3 men flanked him, their suits hiding what I suspected were weapons. They moved with synchronized precision as he walked toward us, parting the restaurant like Moses parting the Red Sea. "Luca." His voice was deep, commanding, with an accent that made my name sound like silk and steel. "It's time to go." "But Papa, I was dancing." Luca's hand tightened in mine. "This is Sophie. She's nice." The man's gaze hadn't left my face. Up close, he was. Even more devastating, sharp jawline, full lips, a small scar cutting through his left eyebrow. He looked at me like he was cataloging every detail, filing me away in some mental database. "I can see that." His words were measured, careful. "Thank you for entertaining my son, Miss Russo. Sophie Russo." I released Luca's hand reluctantly. "He's a wonderful dancer." Something dangerous flashed in his eyes at my last name. Gone so quickly I wondered if I'd imagined it. "Russo," he repeated softly, as if testing how it felt on his tongue. "Italian?" "My grandfather was. From Napoli." "Napoli." He said it the proper way, the way my grandfather had. A beautiful city, also a dangerous one. The weight of his words settled over me like a shroud. This was not small talk. This was a warning, though I didn't understand why. "Papa, can Sophie come visit us?" Luca asked, oblivious to the tension crackling between his father and me. She could teach me more dancing. No. The word was final, absolute. But when he looked at his son, something in his expression softened fractionally. Say goodbye, Luca. The boy's shoulders slumped, but he turned to me with that heartbreaking smile. Goodbye, Sophie. Thank you for dancing with me. Anytime, Luca. I meant it. As they walked toward the exit, flanked by the silent guards, I noticed how Luca's father placed his hand on his son's shoulder, protective, possessive. At the door, he paused and looked back at me. Our eyes locked across the restaurant, and in that moment, I felt something shift in my chest. Recognition of something I couldn't name. Then they were gone, swallowed by the night and the fleet of black SUVs waiting outside. Holy shit, Sophie. Marco appeared at my elbow, his face pale. Do you know who that was? Luca's father? That was Dante Caruso. He said the name like a prayer and a curse. He runs half this city. The Caruso family there. He trailed off, glancing around nervously. Just stay away from them. From him. But even as Marco walked away, even as I returned to my tables with shaking hands, I knew it was already too late. Because Dante Caruso was still looking at me through the window of his SUV as it pulled away from the curb. And in his hand, I saw him slip something to one of his men. A phone, maybe, or a piece of paper. Whatever it was, I had the sinking feeling it had something to do with me. Chapter 2. When Your Name Becomes a Weapon. The envelope arrived 3 days later. I was opening the restaurant for the morning shift, fighting with the old lock that always stuck when it rained, when I noticed it wedged between the door and the frame. Thick cream paper, no postage, no return address. Just my name written in elegant script across the front. Sophie Russo. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a single card, embossed with a crest I didn't recognize, a lion and a serpent intertwined. Below it, written in the same elegant hand, Miss Russo, my son hasn't stopped talking about you. He requests your presence for dinner this Saturday at 7 p.m. A car will collect you from Marino's at 6:30 p.m. This is not a request. D. C. I read it 3 times, my heart hammering against my ribs. The audacity of it, this is not a request, should have infuriated me. Instead, it terrified me, because men who could command rather than ask were men who were used to being obeyed, men who were dangerous when they weren't. You're not actually considering going? My roommate Elena stared at me like I'd grown a second head that evening when I showed her the invitation. She worked as a paralegal downtown and knew enough about the city's underbelly to be perpetually anxious. Sophie, the Caruso family is there connected. Like, connected. To what? She gave me an exasperated look. To everything illegal in this city. Drugs, gambling, protection rackets. Dante Caruso isn't just some businessman, Sophie. He's the head of one of the 5 families that run the criminal underground. She grabbed my shoulders. You danced with his kid. That's sweet. Now forget it ever happened. But I couldn't forget. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Luca's sad smile. And worse, I saw his father's penetrating gaze, the way it had stripped away all my defenses in seconds. I should have thrown the invitation away. Should have changed my shifts, maybe even quit Marino's altogether. Instead, Saturday evening found me standing outside the restaurant at 6:29 p.m., wearing the only nice dress I owned, a simple black number that Elena had insisted made me look like I was going to a funeral. Appropriate, she'd muttered. Because you might be. At exactly 6:30, a black Mercedes pulled up to the curb. The driver emerged one of the men who'd been with Dante at the restaurant. He was built like a brick wall, his face impassive as he opened the back door. Miss Russo. It wasn't a question. I climbed in before I could change my mind, and the door closed behind me with a solid thunk that sounded like a jail cell locking. The interior smelled like leather and expensive cologne. The windows were tinted so dark I could barely see out. As we pulled into traffic, I realized I had no idea where we were going. No way to tell anyone where I was. I just climbed into a car with the Mafia. The drive took 40 minutes, winding through the city and into the hills where houses became estates, and estates became compounds. We passed through a gate that required 2 security checks, drove up a tree-lined driveway that seemed to go on forever. The house mansion really was a sprawling Mediterranean-style villa with cream-colored stone and terracotta tiles. Lights blazed from every window, making it glow against the darkening sky. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it looked like a fortress. The driver opened my door. Mr. Caruso is expecting you in the garden. I followed a stone path around the side of the house. my heels clicking against the pavers. The garden was enormous, filled with rose bushes and climbing jasmine, a fountain bubbling in the center. Lanterns hung from the trees, casting everything in soft golden light. And there, sitting at a small table set for 3, was Luca. His face lit up when he saw me. "Sophie, you came." "Of course I did." I hugged him, feeling some of my tension ease. This was for him, I reminded myself. Just dinner with a lonely little boy. I promised, didn't I? "Father said you might not come," he said. Luca stopped abruptly, his smile fading. "He said what?" a deep voice asked from behind me. I turned to find Dante Caruso emerging from the shadows beneath a pergola. He wore dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, somehow more intimidating in casual clothes than he'd been in his suit. His eyes swept over me, my dress, my face, my nervous hands cataloging everything. "You came," he said, and I couldn't tell if he was surprised or pleased. "You made it clear I didn't have a choice." His lips curved into something that might have been a smile if it had reached his eyes. "There is always a choice. Miss Russo, you made yours." He gestured to the table. "Please, sit." Luca has been counting the minutes. Dinner was surreal. We ate pasta that tasted like heaven, drank wine that probably cost more than my monthly rent, and talked about everything except why I was really there. Luca dominated the conversation, telling me about his school, his tutors, the dog he wanted but wasn't allowed to have. "Father says pets are vulnerabilities," Luca said matter-of-factly. "People can hurt them to hurt you." The casual way he said it made my stomach turn. What kind of life was this child living, where love was measured in potential weaknesses? Dante said little, but I felt his attention on me constantly. When I laughed at Luca's jokes, when I helped him cut his chicken, when I wiped sauce from his chin with my napkin, those dark eyes missed nothing. Finally, Luca yawned, fighting to keep his eyes open. "Time for bed," Dante said gently. To my surprise, his voice held real affection. "Say goodnight to Miss Russo. Will you come back?" Luca asked me, his hand finding mine. "Please?" I looked at Dante, found him watching us with an expression I couldn't read. "That's up to your father." "She'll come back," Dante said quietly. Then, to Luca, "Go on. Maria is waiting to help you get ready." After Luca reluctantly disappeared into the house, Dante poured more wine into my glass. We sat in silence for a long moment, the fountain's gentle splash the only sound. "Why am I really here?" I finally asked. He leaned back in his chair, studying me. "My son likes you. He hasn't smiled like that since his mother died. I'm sorry for your loss. Don't be. She's not dead, just gone." His voice was flat, emotionless. "She decided motherhood and me weren't what she wanted, so she left. 3 years ago. The admission hung between us, raw and unexpected. Luca doesn't know the truth," he continued. "He thinks she went away for work. It's easier for him to believe she'll come back someday than to know she chose to abandon him." My heart broke for that little boy upstairs. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you need to understand what you're walking into if you agree to see him again." Dante's eyes pinned me in place. "My son will get attached to you, Miss Russo. And when he gets attached, so do I. Once you're part of our lives, leaving becomes complicated." "That sounds like a threat." "It's a warning." He stood, moving to the edge of the fountain. The lantern light cast shadows across his face, making him look like something from a Renaissance painting, beautiful and terrible. "I know everything about you, Sophie. Where you live, where you work, where your family is buried. Your grandfather, Angelo Russo, ran with the Vitale family 40 years ago. Did you know that?" The blood drained from my face. "What?" "He was a good soldier. Loyal. Until he wasn't." Dante turned to face me. "He testified against them, went into witness protection with your grandmother. They changed their names, started over. But the old families don't forget, Sophie. We have long memories." I stood on shaking legs. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying your name means something in my world. And now that you've danced with my son, now that you've sat at my table, you mean something too." He took a step closer. "So I'll ask you again. Do you want to leave, or do you want to stay?" I should have run. Should have demanded he take me home immediately and never contact me again. But when I looked up at the house, I saw Luca watching from a window, his small face pressed against the glass. Hoping, waiting. And when I looked back at Dante, I saw something else. Something desperate beneath the dangerous exterior. A father who would do anything to make his son happy, Even invite a stranger into their fortress. I'll come back, I whispered. For Luca. Dante's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. For Luca, he repeated. Of course. He walked me to the car, his hand resting at the small of my back, protective or possessive. I couldn't tell. Before I climbed in, he caught my wrist gently. Sophie. My name on his lips sounded like a promise and a threat. Thank you. For tonight. For my son. Then he released me, and I fled into the safety of the Mercedes. But as we drove away, I looked back to see him still standing there, watching until we disappeared from sight. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I'd just made a deal with the devil. Chapter 3. Between safety and surrender. The visits became routine. 3 times a week, the black Mercedes would collect me, and 3 times a week I'd spend the evening with Luca. We played board games, read stories, practiced dancing in the grand ballroom while Dante watched from the doorway. He was always there, a silent presence in the background. Sometimes he'd join us for dinner, asking me careful questions about my day, my dreams, my life before Marino's. Other times he'd simply observe, those dark eyes tracking my every movement like I was a puzzle he was determined to solve. I told myself I was doing this for Luca, that the way my pulse quickened when Dante entered a room meant nothing, that the electric charge when our hands accidentally brushed was just static. I was lying to myself. It was a Thursday evening, 4 weeks after that first dinner, when everything shifted. Luca had fallen asleep on the couch while we watched a movie, his head resting on my shoulder. I'd been gently stroking his hair, lost in thought, when I felt Dante's presence behind us. He trusts you, he said softly. Completely. I looked up to find him standing there with an expression I'd never seen before, unguarded, vulnerable. In the flickering light from the television, he looked younger, less like the dangerous man I knew he was. He's easy to love, I replied, then immediately regretted the word. Love. Dante's jaw tightened. Let me take him upstairs, then we should talk. He scooped Luca up with a gentleness that made my chest ache, carrying his son like he was made of glass. I waited in the living room, my heart hammering, wondering what we should talk meant. When Dante returned, he'd shed his suit jacket. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed me one, and sat in the chair across from me close enough to touch, far enough to maintain the careful distance we'd been keeping. You've been coming here for a month, he said. You've never asked me about my business. I thought it was safer not to know. Smart. He took a sip of whiskey. But not knowing doesn't keep you safe, Sophie. Being here, in my home, with my son, you're already in danger. My hand trembled. What kind of danger? The kind that comes from being close to me. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I have enemies, rival families who would love nothing more than to hurt me through the people I care about. My security is extensive, but nothing is foolproof. Then why let me come at all? Because my son needs you. His voice dropped. And because I'm selfish enough to want you here anyway. The admission hung between us like a live wire. I should have stood up, walked away, demanded to go home. Instead, I heard myself ask, "Want me here for what?" Dante's eyes locked on mine, and the intensity in them stole my breath. Don't ask questions you're not ready to hear the answers to. But I was tired of dancing around this thing building between us. Tired of pretending. The way he looked at me didn't set my skin on fire. Try me. He stood slowly, moving to the windows that overlooked the garden. The moonlight cast him in silver and shadow. I didn't want this. I swore after Luca's mother left that I would never let anyone close again. It's easier that way, cleaner. He turned to face me. Then you walked into my restaurant and danced with my son, and you looked at him with such genuine kindness that I couldn't stop thinking about you. I stood, my legs unsteady. Dante, I had you investigated, he continued, his voice rough. Every detail of your life. I told myself it was for Luca's safety, but that was a lie. I wanted to know everything about you. What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? Why you work yourself to exhaustion at a job that barely pays your rent when you have a degree in education you've never used? How do you... Because I needed to know if you were a threat. He crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping just inches from me. And what I found was worse than any threat. Sophie, I found someone good, someone kind, someone who had every reason to become bitter after losing her parents but chose compassion instead. His hand lifted, hovering near my face but not quite touching. Someone I have no right to want. My breath caught. Why don't you have the right? Because I'm not a good man. The things I've done, the orders I've given. He finally touched me then, his fingers brushing my cheek with devastating gentleness. I've built an empire on blood and fear. I've hurt people, killed them, and I'd do it all again to protect what's mine. I should have been terrified. Any sane person would be. But all I could focus on was the warmth of his touch, the way his thumb traced my jawline like I was something precious. "What are you saying?" I whispered. "I'm saying you should run from me, Sophie Russo. Run far and fast, because if you stay," his voice cracked slightly, "if you stay, I won't let you go." The words should have sent me fleeing. Instead, I found myself leaning into his touch. "And if I don't want to run?" Something fierce flashed in his eyes. "Then God help us both." He kissed me then, not gently, but with the kind of desperate hunger that comes from holding back too long. His hands cupped my face, his mouth claiming mine with an intensity that made my knees weak. I gripped his shirt, pulling him closer, and felt his control fracture. He walked me backward until I hit the wall, his body pressing against mine. Every nerve ending ignited. This was dangerous, reckless, wrong in every way that mattered, and I'd never felt more alive. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. "This changes everything," he said roughly. "I know. You'll be watched, protected. Every moment of your life will be different." "I know. And when my enemies find out about you, and they will, they'll try to use you against me." I pulled back to look at him, saw the genuine fear in his eyes. This man who commanded hundreds, who ruled a criminal empire, was afraid for me. "Then teach me," I said. "Teach me how to survive in your world." Something dark and possessive crossed his face. "You want to stay? Truly?" "I want," I faltered, unsure how to name this feeling consuming me. "I want to understand this. Us. Whatever this is." Dante's hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back. "This is me claiming you, Sophie. This is me marking you as mine so that everyone in this city knows you're under my protection." His lips brushed against my neck, making me shiver. "Say yes, and there's no going back." My phone buzzed in my purse, probably Elena, wondering why I hadn't checked in. The reminder of my normal life, the safe life I'd built, felt like a lifeline I was about to cut. "Yes," I breathed. Dante pulled back, studying my face like he was memorizing it. Then he kissed me again, slower this time, deeper, until I was drowning in him. When we finally separated, he took my hand and led me to his study, a room I'd never been in before. Dark wood paneling, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk. He opened a drawer and pulled out a phone. "From now on, you use this. Encrypted. Secure." He handed it to me. "And you take one of my men with you everywhere. No arguments." "Dante, that's all non-negotiable." His voice hardened into the tone I recognized from when he dealt with his associates. "You're mine now, which makes you a target. I won't negotiate with your safety." The possessiveness should have rankled. Instead, it sent heat pooling in my stomach. "Okay," I agreed, "but I have conditions too." His eyebrow arched. "Conditions? You tell me the truth. About your business, about the danger, about everything. No more secrets." He considered this, then nodded slowly. "Agreed, though you may come to regret that request. And," I continued, gathering courage, "I want to keep working at Marino's, keep my apartment, keep some piece of my old life. Sophie, I mean it. If I'm going to do this, I need to do it on my terms. I won't be kept like some bird in a gilded cage." A muscle ticked in his jaw, but finally he nodded. "For now. But if the danger escalates, all bets are off." We stood there in his study, the weight of what we'd just agreed to settling over us. I'd just signed up for a life I couldn't fully understand, tying myself to a man who'd admitted to being a killer. And yet, when he pulled me close again, when his lips found mine in the quiet darkness, I knew I'd made my choice. I was his now. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. Chapter 4. The Price of Protection. My new shadow arrived at Marino's the next morning. His name was Matteo, early 30s, built like he ate steel for breakfast, with a scar running along his jawline that suggested he'd survived worse than most people could imagine. He wore a suit that barely concealed the gun at his hip, and stood near the door with the kind of alert stillness that made customers nervous. This is insane, Marco hissed as we prepped the coffee station. You have a bodyguard? Sophie, what did you get yourself into? It's complicated. Complicated as forgetting someone's birthday. He gestured frantically at Matteo. This is mafia movie territory. Please tell me you're not actually dating Dante Caruso. The memory of last night's kiss burned through me. I said it's complicated. Marco looked like he might cry. You're going to get us all killed. But as the day progressed, I started to understand why Dante had insisted on protection. Matteo intercepted 2 men who came in asking questions about me, casual inquiries disguised as friendly interest. Where did I live? Was I seeing anyone? Did I always work this shift? Matteo dealt with them quietly, efficiently, and they left without ordering anything. Who were they? I asked during my break. Vitali family, scouts. Matteo's expression remained impassive. Word's gotten around that the boss has taken an interest in you. Other families are curious. Curious enough to ask questions at my job? Curious enough to test your defenses. See if you're a vulnerability or an asset. He checked his phone, frowned. Mr. Caruso wants to see you tonight. There's a situation. The situation became clear when the Mercedes picked me up that evening. Instead of heading to Dante's estate, we drove to a different location, a sleek high-rise in the financial district. Matteo led me through a private entrance, up an elevator that required a key card, and into a penthouse that took my breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, modern furniture in blacks and grays. And in the center of it all, Dante stood with his back to me, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Italian. When he saw me, he ended the call abruptly. Sophie. He crossed the room, his hands immediately going to my face, tilting it side to side as if checking for injuries. You're all right? I'm fine. Matteo said there was a situation? Come. He led me to the windows. You see that building? He pointed to a structure about 3 blocks away. That's owned by the Vitali family. They've been watching my estate for weeks. Today they started watching you. My stomach dropped. Why? Because they want leverage. He turned to face me, his expression grim. The Vitalis and I have been at war for control of the port. They want the shipping contracts I hold. I won't give them up. So now they're looking for other ways to hurt me. Through you. His hand settled on my shoulders. This is why I wanted you to understand the reality, Sophie. Every moment you're with me, you're in danger. Then why did you kiss me? The question burst out before I could stop it. Why pull me into this if you knew it would put me at risk? His jaw clenched. Because I'm selfish. Because the moment I touched you, I knew I wouldn't be able to let you go. He pulled me against him, his arms wrapping around me like he could shield me from the entire world. And because I'd rather have you close where I can protect you than far away where I can't. I pressed my face against his chest, hearing his heart beat steady and strong. What do we do? For tonight you stay here. This is my safe house, one of them. Tomorrow I'm meeting with the Vitali boss. We'll reach an understanding. What kind of understanding? The kind that ends with them knowing you're off limits. His voice hardened, one way or another. He kept me there all night, feeding me takeout from an Italian place that delivered to the private elevator, showing me the security system, the panic room, the various exits. It felt surreal being trained for survival while sitting on a leather couch worth more than my car. But it was when we went to bed fully clothed, just lying together in the massive master bedroom, that I saw another side of him. Tell me about your parents, he said quietly, his fingers tracing idle patterns on my arm. They died when I was 16. Car accident. The old pain resurfaced, but duller now, worn smooth by time. Drunk driver ran a red light. They were gone instantly. No other family? Just Elena, my roommate. She's the closest thing I have to a sister. I turned to look at him. What about you? Your family? His expression darkened. My father built this empire. He was ruthless, brilliant, terrifying. He taught me that power is the only thing that matters, that showing weakness gets you killed. He paused. He died when I was 22. Heart attack. I took over the business and discovered he'd been right about the power, wrong about the weakness. What do you mean? Luca. The name softened his features. He's my weakness. The only thing in this world that could truly destroy me. If something happened to him. He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. And now I'm a weakness too, I said quietly. No. He rolled to face me fully, his hand cupping my cheek. "You're something more dangerous than a weakness, Sophie. You're hope." The words hung between us, raw and honest. Then he kissed me slowly this time, thoroughly, until I forgot about Vitalis and danger and everything except the feel of his mouth on mine. We didn't sleep together, though God knows I wanted to. But lying in his arms, listening to the city hum below us, I felt something shift inside my chest. I was falling for him, this dangerous, complicated, impossible man, and I had no idea if I'd survive the landing. Chapter 5. Blood on White Marble. The meeting with the Vitalis happened 2 days later at a restaurant near their family-owned neutral ground. Dante insisted I stay at the estate with Luca while he handled it, but I saw the tension in his shoulders when he left, the way his men loaded into the cars with grim expressions. "Is Papa in danger?" Luca asked as we watched from the window. "Your father is the most powerful man in this city," I said, trying to convince myself as much as him. "He'll be fine." But 3 hours later, when the cars roared back through the gates, I knew something had gone terribly wrong. Dante emerged from the lead vehicle, his white shirt splattered with blood, not all of it his. His knuckles were torn, a cut across his cheekbone oozing red. Behind him, his men carried one of their own who wasn't moving. "Take Luca to his room," Dante ordered, his voice cold and clipped. "Now." I grabbed Luca before he could see more, but he'd already seen enough. His face had gone pale, his small body trembling. "It's okay," I whispered, though it clearly wasn't. "Your father is home. He's safe." I got Luca settled with a movie, promised him his father would come, say goodnight, then raced back downstairs. The foyer had transformed into controlled chaos men on phones, someone barking orders in Italian, the smell of gunpowder and blood hanging in the air. I found Dante in his study, drinking whiskey straight from the bottle while a doctor stitched the cut on his face. "Out," he told the doctor. "I'll finish it myself." The doctor hesitated but left when Dante's glare intensified. I closed the door behind him. "What happened?" "The Vitales happened." He took another drink. "They refused my terms, said they'd rather see me dead than surrender the port contracts." He laughed, bitterly. "So I showed them why that would be a mistake. Dante, there's so much blood. None of it mine." He finally looked at me, and I saw something feral in his eyes. They brought men to a negotiation. They came armed, ready to kill me in front of witnesses. So I killed them first. The casual way he said it made my blood run cold. "How many?" "3. Maybe 4. I stopped counting. He stood, swaying slightly. "This is what I am, Sophie. This is what you signed up for. A man who solves problems with violence because it's the only language this world understands." I should have been horrified. Should have run screaming from this house and never looked back. Instead, I crossed the room and took the bottle from his hands. "Sit down before you fall down," I said quietly. To my surprise, he obeyed, sinking into his desk chair. I wet a cloth at the bar sink and gently cleaned the blood from his face, from his hands, working in silence while he watched me with those dark, unreadable eyes. "You're not running," he observed. "No. You should be. Probably." I tilted his face toward the light, examining the half-stitched cut. "This needs to be finished properly. Leave it." "No." I picked up the needle the doctor had abandoned. I watched my grandfather do field stitches 100 times. He was a medic. Before, everything else. Dante's hand caught my wrist. "Your grandfather, who testified against my world, who ran rather than face the consequences of betrayal." His grip was firm but not painful. "Do you understand why that matters, Sophie? Why your bloodline makes you dangerous? Because old grudges die hard? Because trust is currency in my world. Your grandfather broke that trust. Some families would kill you simply for carrying his name." He released my wrist. "But finish the stitches. We'll deal with the past later." I worked carefully, my hands steadier than they had any right to be. Each time the needle pierced his skin, he didn't flinch. Just watched, me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. "The man they carried in," I said softly. "Is he dead?" "Marco. He'd been with me for 10 years. Dante's jaw clenched. "He had a wife, 2 daughters. I'll take care of them. Make sure they want for nothing. That doesn't bring him back." "No, it doesn't." He caught my hand again as I tied off the final stitch. "This is the reality, Sophie. Men die in my world. Good men, bad men, Death doesn't discriminate, and the more you care about someone, the more it destroys you when they fall. I understood what he wasn't saying. That caring about me put me in danger. That every moment we were together increased the risk. Then we make it worth it, I said. We make whatever time we have count. Something broke in his expression. He pulled me into his lap, burying his face against my neck. I felt him shudder, felt the careful control he always maintained crack, just slightly. I can't lose you, he whispered against my skin. Or Luca, you're the only good things in my life. The only things that make me feel human instead of like the monster I've become. I ran my fingers through his hair, holding him close. You're not a monster. Monsters don't grieve their men, don't love their sons, don't... I hesitated. Don't look at me the way you do. He lifted his head, his eyes searching mine. And how do I look at you? Like I'm something precious, something worth protecting. I traced the line of his jaw, careful to avoid the fresh stitches. Like I could save you from yourself. You already have. He kissed me then, tasting of whiskey and desperation. His hand slid into my hair, holding me in place as if I might disappear. Stay tonight, here, with me. Luca needs to see you're not afraid, needs to see that life continues even after violence. His thumb brushed my lower lip. But I need you too, Sophie. More than I have any right to. So I stayed. We checked on Luca together, Dante's hand never leaving the small of my back. His son was asleep, one arm wrapped around a stuffed bear I'd given him weeks ago. Dante stood in the doorway for a long moment, just watching him breathe. He's the only pure thing I've ever created, he said quietly. Everything else is blood and profit and power. But him, he's innocent, still good. He gets that from you. Dante's laugh was harsh. You don't know the things I've done. Then tell me. He did. That night, in his bedroom with the city lights glittering beyond the windows, he told me everything. The first man he'd killed at 19, his father's enemy, stabbed in an alley as a test of loyalty. The territories he'd conquered through intimidation and violence, the bribes he'd paid, the judges he owned, the politicians in his pocket. He painted himself as a villain, voice flat and emotionless, like he was reciting someone else's sins. But I heard the self-loathing underneath, the weight of every choice that had led him here. Do you want me to be horrified? I asked when he finally fell silent. I want you to understand what you've tied yourself to. I took his face in my hands, forcing him to look at me. I understand that you're a man who does terrible things to protect the people he loves. I understand that you live in a world where violence is survival. And I understand, I kissed him softly, that you hate yourself for it more than anyone else ever could. Sophie, I see you, Dante. Not just the monster, not just the crime lord. I see the father who carries his son to bed, the man who grieves his fallen soldiers, the person who looks at me like I'm the first good thing that's happened in years. I kissed him again, deeper, and I'm not running. He responded with a hunger that stole my breath, his control finally shattering. We fell onto his bed in a tangle of limbs and desperate need, stripping away clothes and pretense until there was nothing between us but skin and want. Tell me to stop, he growled against my throat. Tell me. This is too fast, too much. Don't stop. I pulled him closer, arching into his touch. Don't you dare stop. So he didn't. He claimed me slowly, thoroughly, until I forgot my own name and knew only his. Every touch was reverent and possessive, marking me as his in ways that had nothing to do with danger and everything to do with the connection burning between us. Afterward, we lay tangled together, our hearts still racing, the city outside oblivious to the world-shifting moment that had just occurred. You're mine now, he murmured, his lips against my temple. Completely. I know. And I'm yours. He turned my face to his. That's more dangerous than you realize. Because there's nothing I won't do to keep you safe. No line I won't cross. I believed him. And terrifyingly, I realized I'd crossed those same lines for him. We'd become each other's salvation and damnation. And there was no going back now. Chapter 6. The Photograph. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then I felt Dante's arm around my waist, his body warm against my back, and everything came rushing back. Last night, the blood, the confession, the way he'd touched me like I was both salvation and sin. You're thinking too loud, he murmured against my neck, his voice rough with sleep. I'm thinking I should probably go home. Elena will be worried. Already handled. I had Matteo text her from your phone last night. He tightened his arm around me. Stay. Have breakfast with us. With Luca. The domesticity of it was almost jarring. This man who'd admitted to murder wanted me to stay for breakfast with his son. But when I looked at him, hair mussed, eyes soft in the morning light, the fresh stitches a reminder of last night's violence, I couldn't find it in me to refuse. Breakfast was surreal. Luca chattered about his upcoming school play while Dante cut his pancakes, occasionally glancing at me with an expression that made my stomach flip. Under the table, his knee pressed against mine, a constant reminder of the connection between us. Will you come to my play? Luca asked me, syrup on his chin. It's next Friday. I'm playing a tree. The most important tree, Dante added seriously. The whole forest depends on him. Luca giggled. Papa, that's not true. Isn't it? Without your tree, where would the birds live? Where would the heroes hide? Dante's eyes met mine over his son's head, and I saw the question there. Will you still be here next Friday? I wouldn't miss it, I said, meaning it. I should have known better than to believe the peace could last. I was back at Marino's that afternoon, trying to focus on my tables while Matteo watched from his usual position, when a woman walked in. She was striking tall, blonde, wearing a designer suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. She sat at table 12. Luca's table. Can I help you? I asked, order pad ready? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Actually, you can. I'm here to talk about Dante Caruso. My blood ran cold. I'm working. If you want to order, I know what you are to him. She slid a manila envelope across the table. And I know what he hasn't told you. Matteo was already moving toward us, his hand inside his jacket, but the woman held up her hands in a gesture of peace. I'm not here to threaten, just to enlighten. She stood. Look at the photographs, Sophie Russo. Then ask yourself if you really know the man you're sleeping with. She left before Matteo could reach her, disappearing into a black sedan with tinted windows. Give me that, Matteo demanded, reaching for the envelope. But I'd already opened it. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. Crime scene photos, bodies, blood, and in several of them, Dante's face was clearly visible in the background, watching, directing. But it was the last photograph that made my hands shake. It showed my grandfather younger, but unmistakably him. He stood next to a man I recognized from the news. Roberto Vitali, the current head of the Vitali family. They were smiling, arms around each other's shoulders. Written on the back in neat handwriting, Angelo Russo and Roberto Vitali, 1985. Best friends. Until Dante Caruso's father ordered Angelo's execution. Your grandfather ran to save his life. Now his granddaughter sleeps with the enemy. History has a sense of irony. Miss Russo, we need to leave. Now. Matteo's voice was urgent. That woman was Vitali family. This is a message. A message saying what? That they know how to hurt you. How to turn you against the boss. He grabbed my arm gently. Please, let me take you somewhere safe. I let him lead me out, the photographs burning in my hand. The entire drive back to Dante's estate. I stared at the image of my grandfather, the man who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd told me stories, who died when I was 10, the man who'd been best friends with Dante's enemy. Dante was waiting when we arrived, his face dark with fury. What happened? Vitali sent a messenger, Matteo reported. Left these with Miss Russo. He handed over the envelope. I watched Dante flip through the photographs, his expression growing more closed with each image. When he reached the one of my grandfather, he stopped. Sophie, is it true? My voice cracked. Was your father going to kill my grandfather? He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded once. Yes. The confirmation was like a physical blow. Because he testified? Because he was going to. Dante set the photographs aside. Your grandfather discovered my father was planning to expand into human trafficking. Women. Girls. He threatened to go to the police. My father couldn't allow that. So he ordered him killed. Yes, but your grandfather ran before my father could act. Went into witness protection with your grandmother. Changed their names. Started over. He took a step toward me. I was 5 years old when this happened, Sophie. I had nothing to do with it. But you knew. When you investigated me, You knew about all of this. I knew. He didn't try to deny it. And I knew Roberto Vitale was your grandfather's closest friend. That Roberto has never forgiven my family for forcing Angelo into hiding, for the years they lost. I pressed my hands to my temples, trying to process everything. So this thing between us, is it real? Or am I just another weapon in your war with the Vitalis? His eyes flashed. Don't. He closed the distance between us, his hands framing my face. Don't you dare question what we have because of something that happened 40 years ago. How can I not? My grandfather was going to be killed by your father. He was best friends with your enemy. And now I choked on the words. Now I'm in your bed. It's too convenient, Dante. Too perfect. You think I planned this? His voice rose. You think I orchestrated you dancing with my son? That I manipulated an 8-year-old boy into liking you? I don't know what to think. Then think about this. He kissed me hard, desperately. Think about how I feel when I touch you. How Luca lights up when you walk in the room. How I told you things last night I've never told anyone. He rested his forehead against mine. The past is the past, Sophie. What matters is what we choose to do now. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But the photographs haunted me, all that blood, all that violence, and my grandfather's smiling face next to the man who is now Dante's greatest enemy. I need time, I whispered. To process this. To think. Pain flickered across his face, but he nodded. How much time? I don't know. A few days. Maybe more. I can't protect you if you're not here. Then I'll take my chances. It was the wrong thing to say. His expression hardened into something cold and ruthless, the face he showed his enemies. No. You'll stay here, under my protection, until the Vitale situation is resolved. That's not negotiable. You can't keep me prisoner. Watch me. He stepped back, pulling out his phone. Matteo, no one leaves the estate without my permission. That includes Miss Russo. Dante, you can't. I can. And I will. He looked at me, and I saw the war raging behind his eyes, the man who loved me fighting with the crime lord who protected his assets. You want time? Fine, take it. But you'll take it here, where I know you're safe. This is insane. This is survival. He moved to the door, paused. The Vitales sent those photographs for a reason, Sophie. They want you to doubt me, to run, and the moment you do, they'll be waiting. His voice dropped. I won't let them have you, even if that makes me the villain in your story. He left me standing there, surrounded by armed guards and beautiful prison walls, holding photographs of a past I'd never known and a future I couldn't predict. And for the first time since walking into his life, I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. Chapter 7. When Kingdoms Fall. I spent 3 days confined to the estate, watching Dante from a distance. He was different now, colder, more closed off. He still spent time with Luca, still ran his empire from his study. But he barely looked at me, barely spoke beyond necessary pleasantries. It was like he'd locked away the man I'd fallen for and replaced him with the ruthless crime lord everyone feared. On the third night, Elena managed to get through to my encrypted phone. Sophie, what the hell is going on? Your messages sound weird and Marco says you haven't been at work. I'm fine. Just dealing with some stuff. Stuff involving Dante Caruso? Because I did some research. And Sophie, this man is dangerous. Like, actually dangerous. There are rumors of gang wars, of territories being seized. People are dying. I looked out the window at the estate grounds, where guards patrolled with automatic weapons. I know who he is. Then why are you still there? Because I love him. The thought crashed through me with devastating clarity. Somewhere between dancing with his son and letting him into my bed, I'd fallen completely, irrevocably in love with a man who might be my grandfather's worst nightmare. It's complicated, I said finally. Sophie, an explosion rocked the estate. The windows shattered inward. I hit the floor, glass raining around me, Elena's screams echoing through the phone. Alarms blared. Gunfire erupted from multiple directions. The door burst open. Dante stood there, gun in hand, blood on his face. Get up, now. I scrambled to my feet, my ears ringing. What's happening? The Vitales are attacking. They brought an army. He grabbed my arm, pulling me into the hallway. I need to get you to the panic room. More explosions. The house shook. Through the windows, I saw dozens of armed men storming the grounds, exchanging fire with Dante's guards. Luca! I gasped. Where's Luca? Safe room. With Maria. But I need to. A section of the ceiling collapsed. Dante shoved me against the wall, his body covering mine as debris rained down. When the dust cleared, the hallway behind us was blocked. Alternate route, he muttered, leading me through a series of corridors I'd never seen before. Secret passages, hidden staircases. The house was a fortress within a fortress. We emerged in his study. He moved to a painting, swung it aside to reveal a safe, pulled out a gun and handed it to me. Do you know how to use this? My grandfather taught me. Something flickered in his eyes at the mention of my grandfather, but there was no time to process it. He checked his own weapon, reloaded. Stay behind me. If anyone comes through that door who isn't my men, I know. I chambered around, my hand surprisingly steady. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw everything he wasn't saying, the fear, the regret, the love he was too proud or too scared to name. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for keeping you here, for dragging you into this, for... I kissed him, hard and fast, tasting smoke and desperation. Save the apologies. Just get us out alive. His answering smile was sharp and dangerous. Yes, ma'am. We moved through the house like soldiers, Dante's men joining us as we went. I saw bodies, his men, Vitali men, too many to count. The beautiful home had become a war zone, paintings riddled with bullet holes, blood on white marble floors. We were almost to the safe room when Roberto Vitali himself stepped into our path. He was older than in the photograph with my grandfather, gray-haired and weathered, but his eyes were sharp and hard. He had a gun pointed at Dante's chest. Caruso. The name was a curse. Finally, Roberto. Dante's voice was calm, controlled. You brought a lot of men to die tonight. And you brought Angelo Russo's granddaughter into your bed. Roberto's eyes flicked to me. Does she know, Dante? Does she know that your father cut her grandfather's throat in an alley? That Angelo survived only because I found him in time, got him out of the city? The world tilted. What? He didn't tell you? Roberto's smile was cruel. Antonio Caruso ordered your grandfather's execution, Dante's father. And when Angelo ran, Antonio killed your grandmother instead. Made sure Angelo knew what the cost of betrayal was. That's a lie, Dante said, but his voice wavered. Is it? Ask him yourself. Oh wait, you can't. Because you killed him. Roberto took a step forward. That's right, Sophie. Dante didn't just inherit his empire. He took it by killing his own father when he was 22. Suffocated him with a pillow because the old man was going soft, making bad deals. I looked at Dante, saw the truth in his eyes. You killed your father? He was dying anyway, Dante said flatly. Cancer. He had months, maybe weeks. And yes, I ended it. I took control before the family fractured, before our enemies could sense weakness. He turned back to Roberto. And I've made this empire stronger than he ever did. Removed the trafficking, the worst of the violence. Still built on blood and death, Roberto interrupted. Still the same monster wearing a different mask. He looked at me again. Your grandfather would be ashamed, girl. Ashamed that his blood is warming a Caruso's bed. Something in me snapped. All the confusion, the fear, the impossible situation, it crystallized into cold, clear fury. My grandfather, I said, raising my weapon, taught me to think for myself, to choose my own path. I stepped beside Dante, not behind him, and I choose this. I choose him. Roberto's expression darkened. Then you'll die with him. Everything happened at once. Roberto's finger tightened on the trigger. I fired first not to kill but to wound, the way my grandfather had taught me. The bullet hit Roberto's shoulder, spinning him sideways. Dante's men poured in from both sides. More gunfire. More chaos. When the smoke cleared, Roberto was on his knees, bleeding but alive. Dante stood over him, gun pressed to his forehead. Give me one reason, Dante said quietly, why I shouldn't end this now. Because... Roberto coughed, blood on his lips. I'm the only one who knows where your mother is. Dante froze. What? You thought she just disappeared? That she chose to leave little Luca? Roberto laughed bitterly. I've been keeping her. Insurance. Kill me, and you'll never find her. The gun in Dante's hand shook. I saw the calculation in his eyes, the war between vengeance and hope. I touched his arm gently. Dante, think of Luca. He closed his eyes, jaw clenched so tight I thought something might break. Then, slowly, He lowered the gun. "Take him," he ordered his men. "Lock him up. Get our best interrogator." He turned to me, his eyes haunted. "I need to check on Luca." We found his son in the safe room, terrified but unharmed. Luca threw himself at Dante, sobbing, and I watched this dangerous man crumble as he held his child. "I'm sorry," Dante whispered into his son's hair. "I'm so sorry." I knelt beside them, and Luca's arms reached for me too. We stayed like that, the three of us tangled together in the aftermath of violence, surrounded by steel walls and the promise of safety that felt impossibly fragile. Outside, the estate burned. The Vitali forces had retreated, leaving dozens dead on both sides. Dante's empire was still standing, but barely. And I was still here, having chosen this man over everything else, even knowing what he'd done, what he was. God help me, I'd chosen him anyway. Chapter 8. Choices written in scars. The aftermath of the attack stretched into dawn. Dante coordinated cleanup, dealt with police he had in his pocket, made calls to the other families to assure them the situation was under control. I stayed with Luca, who refused to let either of us out of his sight. "Is the bad man gone?" he asked, curled between us on Dante's bed, the only room in the house mostly undamaged. "Yes," Dante said, stroking his son's hair. "He's gone." It wasn't exactly true. Roberto Vitale was alive, imprisoned somewhere in Dante's network of safe houses. But Luca didn't need to know that. Didn't need to know his mother might be alive, held captive all these years. When Luca finally fell asleep, Dante carried him to the guest wing where Maria waited. Then he returned to find me standing at the broken window, watching the sun rise over the damage. "You should go," he said quietly, "before this gets worse." I turned to look at him. He was covered in dust and blood, the stitches on his face torn open again, exhaustion carved into every line of his body. He looked like a man at the end of his rope. "Is that what you want?" "What I want doesn't matter." He moved to the bar, poured whiskey with shaking hands. "What matters is keeping you alive. And after tonight, after what you saw, I saw you protect your son. I saw you spare your enemy's life for information that could save Luca's mother." I crossed to him, took the glass from his hand. I saw a man trying to be better than he was taught to be. "I killed my father, Sophie." The admission hung between us. I suffocated him in his hospital bed because I wanted power more than I wanted his last few months alive. Don't make me into something I'm not. "Was he a good man? Your father? He was a monster, trafficked women, killed children, ruled through terror. And you ended him, took control, and changed things. Isn't that still murder?" he interrupted. "Still patricide. Some sins don't wash clean." I took his face in my hands, forcing him to look at me. "I'm not here because I think you're perfect, Dante. I'm here because I see who you're trying to become. The father who adores his son. The man who showed mercy tonight when vengeance would have been easier." I kissed him softly. "I'm here because I love you." The words dropped like stones into still water. Dante went completely still, his eyes searching mine like he was looking for the lie. "You can't," he whispered. "Too late. Sophie, I love you," I repeated, even knowing everything. Maybe because I know everything. Because you trusted me enough to tell me the truth, even when it made you a monster in my eyes. He kissed me then desperately, like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me against him, and I tasted salt from tears I wasn't sure were his or mine. "I don't deserve you," he said against my mouth. "Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway." He pulled back, his eyes intense. "If you stay, if you really choose this, there's no going back. You'll be a target. Every enemy I have will see you as weakness. Let them." I traced the line of his jaw. "We'll face them together. Sophie." "No." I pressed my fingers to his lips. "You asked me to choose. 3 days ago, you said I could stay or go. I'm choosing to stay. Not because I'm trapped, not because I'm afraid, but because I want this life with you, whatever it brings." Something broke in his expression, hope and fear and desperate longing. He pulled me against him, his face buried in my neck, and I felt him shudder. "I love you," he whispered. "God help me. I love you so much it terrifies me." We stood like that for a long time, holding each other in the wreckage of his home, while outside his men rebuilt and reinforced and prepared for whatever came next. Finally, he pulled back. "There's something I need to show you." He led me through more hidden passages to a room I'd never seen, a small office with filing cabinets and a computer. He opened a drawer, pulled out a folder. When I investigated you, I found everything, including this. He handed me a letter, yellowed with age, the handwriting shaky. Your grandfather wrote it before he died. Left it with a lawyer with instructions to give it to you when you turned 18. I never received this, because I intercepted it 2 years ago, when I first learned about you. He looked away, shame in his eyes. I needed to know if you were a threat, if you knew about your grandfather's connection to my world. With trembling hands, I opened the letter. Dear Sophie, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and there are things you need to know about where you come from. I was not always the man you knew. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes that I spent my life trying to atone for. I was part of something dark and dangerous. I helped build an empire of violence, and when I tried to leave, they came for me. Antonio Caruso, Dante's father, ordered my death. I survived because Roberto Vitali saved me, got me and your grandmother out of the city. But your grandmother, she died because of me, because of choices I made. That's a burden I've carried every day. If you ever meet anyone from that world, if the past ever finds you, remember this. You are not your blood. You are not your history. You are the choices you make in the present. Choose kindness when you can. Choose love, even when it's terrifying. And choose to be better than I was. All my love. Nano tears streamed down my face as I read it twice, 3 times. My grandfather had known, had carried this weight alone, trying to protect me from a past I'd never even known existed. He would have hated me, Dante said quietly, for what my father did, for what I am. No, I looked up at him. He would have understood. He knew about choosing to be better, about carrying the weight of past sins. I touched his face, and I think he'd see what I see, a man trying to break the cycle. Dante pulled me against him, and we stayed like that while dawn broke fully over the city. His empire, his prison, his home. Our home now, because I'd made my choice. And despite everything, the violence, the danger, the impossible complications, I knew it was the right one. What happens now? I asked. Now? He kissed my forehead. Now we find out if Roberto was telling the truth about Luca's mother. We rebuild. We prepare for whatever the other families do in response to tonight. His arms tightened around me. And we figure out how to build a life together in the middle of all this chaos. Sounds complicated. Catastrophically so. I smiled against his chest. Good. I was worried it would be boring. His laugh was low and rough, but genuine. With you? Never. And standing there in his arms, surrounded by the evidence of last night's violence and the promise of more to come, I felt something settle in my chest. Peace. Or at least acceptance. This was my life now. Dangerous, complicated, built on foundations of blood and choice, but it was mine, ours, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Chapter 9. Blood Vows and Broken Chains. The interrogation of Roberto Vitali took 3 days. Dante kept me away from it, but I heard whispers from his men, mentions of techniques that made my stomach turn, of Roberto's resistance finally breaking. On the 3rd day, Dante came to find me in Luca's room where we'd been reading together. His face was drawn, eyes haunted. She's alive, he said. Isabella. She's been held at a compound in the mountains for 3 years. Luca looked up from his book, confusion crossing his features. Who's Isabella? Dante knelt beside his son, hands gentle on his shoulders. Your mother, Luca. She didn't leave us. She was taken. Watching Luca process this, the hope, the confusion, the anger was almost unbearable. He looked at his father with betrayal in his eyes. You said she went away. You said she didn't want us anymore. I thought she did, Dante said, his voice cracking. I thought she chose to leave, but I was wrong. And I'm sorry, Luca. I'm so sorry. Can we get her back? Dante's jaw clenched. I'm going to try. The rescue operation was planned with military precision. 50 men, 3 routes, backup plans for the backup plans. Dante insisted I stay at a different safe house with Luca while he led the assault personally. Absolutely not, I said when he told me this. I'm coming with you. Sophie. I said I'm staying. I meant it. Which means I'm part of this now. All of it. I grabbed his tactical vest. You don't get to protect me from the hard parts. This isn't about protection. It's about... Yes, it is. You're trying to keep me away from the violence, from the reality of what you do. But I've already seen it, Dante. I've already chosen it. So let me be there. Let me help." He studied me for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "You stay behind our forward line. You follow Matteo's orders exactly. And if things go wrong, they won't. If they do," he continued firmly, "you run. No heroics. No trying to save me. You run and you protect Luca. Promise me." I pressed my forehead to his. "I promise." The compound was a fortress in the mountains, surrounded by Vitali family guards. We approached at night, moving through the forest like shadows. I wore body armor that felt too heavy and carried a gun I hoped I wouldn't have to use. The assault was quick and brutal. Dante's men moved with practiced efficiency, taking out guards silently before the alarm could be raised. But halfway through, gunfire erupted from an unexpected direction. "Ambush!" someone shouted. Chaos. Bullets shredding trees. Men falling. I stayed low, following Matteo's directions, my heart hammering in my ears. Dante moved through it like an avenging angel, cold, precise, deadly. I watched him take down 3 men without hesitation. Watched him lead his men with the kind of authority that came from years of commanding through violence. This was who he was. This was the monster and the man, inseparable. We found Isabella in the basement, chained to a wall, barely conscious. She looked nothing like the pictures I'd seen, gaunt, bruised, hollow-eyed. Dante went white when he saw her. "Isabella," he breathed, moving to her side. His hands shook as he worked the locks. "I'm here. I'm getting you out." She flinched away from his touch at first, not recognizing him. Then her eyes focused, widened. "Dante? It's me. You're safe now." He caught her as the chains fell away, lifting her carefully. "I've got you. Luca," she whispered. "My baby. Is he? He's alive. He's safe. He's waiting for you." Dante's voice cracked. "I'm so sorry, Isabella. I should have looked harder. Should have known later," Matteo interrupted. "We need to move, now." The extraction was a nightmare. More Vitali forces converged on the compound. We had to fight our way out, Isabella barely conscious in Dante's arms. I fired my weapon twice, both times to save Matteo's life, both times hitting my targets. I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. But there was no time to think about it. We made it to the vehicles with casualties but alive. Dante held Isabella in the back of the SUV while a medic worked on her, murmuring reassurances I couldn't hear over the engine's roar. I watched him with her, and felt something complicated twist in my chest. This was his son's mother, the woman he'd married, made a life with. Whatever feelings he'd had for her, maybe still had, I couldn't compete with history. As if reading my thoughts, his hand found mine across the seat. Squeezed once. "I'm still here. Still yours." The reunion with Luca happened at the safe house. We'd moved Isabella to a medical room, cleaned her up, let her sleep for several hours before waking her gently. When she saw Luca, she broke down completely. Her son, now 8 years old, grown so much from the 5-year-old she remembered, stood frozen for a moment, then ran to her. "Mama? My baby, my beautiful boy." She held him like she'd never let go, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I left you." "You didn't leave," Luca said fiercely. "Papa said you didn't leave. You were taken." Over Luca's head, Isabella's eyes met Dante's. There was something there, gratitude, yes, but also a kind of finality, understanding that too much had changed, too much time had passed. "Thank you," she said quietly to him, "for keeping him safe, for finding me. I should have found you sooner. You didn't know." She looked down at Luca, stroked his hair with shaking hands. Neither of us knew. I stepped back, giving them space, and found Dante following me into the hallway. "This changes things," I said quietly. "She's back. You have a family again. Sophie, I'm not saying I'm leaving. I'm just saying you need to figure out what this means. For Luca, for all of you." He pulled me against him, fierce and desperate. "What it means is that Luca gets his mother back, that Isabella gets her life back. But it doesn't change us. She and I, we were over long before she was taken. We married too young, for the wrong reasons. We were never what you and I are. And what are we? Everything." He kissed me hard. "You're everything, Sophie. Don't you understand that yet?" "I'm trying to. Try. Harder." His forehead pressed to mine. Because I'm not letting you go. Not for Isabella, not for the past, not for anything. You're mine, and I'm yours. That's all that matters. Chapter 10. Crown of Thorns and Roses. 3 months later, I stood in Dante's study, our study now reviewing security reports with Matteo. The estate had been rebuilt, stronger than before. The Vital family had fractured after Roberto's capture and subsequent cooperation, their territories divided among the remaining families. Dante's empire had emerged stronger, and I'd emerged changed. I carried a gun now, knew how to use it. I'd taken self-defense lessons, learned the protocols, memorized the safe routes. I'd become what I needed to be to survive in this world. But I'd also kept pieces of my old life. I still worked at Marino's 2 days a week with heavy security, over Dante's protests. Still saw Elena, though now our coffee dates included armed guards discreetly positioned nearby. Still tried to maintain some normalcy. Miss Russo? Matteo's voice pulled me from my thoughts. The documents you asked for. He handed me a folder information on a network of shelters I wanted to establish. Using Dante's resources, his connections, but putting them toward something good. Helping women escape dangerous situations. It was my compromise with the darkness find light wherever I could. Thank you. I glanced at the clock. Is he back yet? Just arrived. He's with Papa, Sophie. Luca's voice echoed through the house. I found them in the garden, Dante and Luca and Isabella, who'd been slowly recovering, slowly rebuilding her relationship with her son. She lived in a separate wing of the estate now, close enough to be part of Luca's life, but maintaining clear boundaries. Sophie, look. Luca held up a sketch. Mama taught me to draw horses. That's beautiful. I ruffled his hair, met Isabella's eyes. We'd reached an understanding, she and I. She was Luca's mother. I was something else. The woman who'd helped save her, who loved her son, who'd chosen this family despite everything. It was complicated, but it worked. Luca, why don't you show your mother the new game room? Dante suggested gently. Sophie and I need to talk. Once they'd gone, Dante pulled me close. Walk with me. We strolled through the garden he'd had rebuilt after the attack. New roses climbed the trellises. The fountain had been repaired. It looked almost exactly as it had the first night I'd come here, like nothing violent had ever touched this place. But we both knew better. Roberto gave us information, Dante said quietly, about other families, other operations. I've been using it to clean house, shut down trafficking rings, weapons deals that target schools, drug operations near children. He stopped, turned to face me. I'm not a good man, Sophie. I never will be. But I'm trying to be better. I know. The other families are calling me soft, saying I've lost my edge. A bitter smile curved his lips. They're not entirely wrong. I used to make decisions based purely on profit and power. Now I think about Luca, about you, about what kind of world I'm leaving behind. Is that a bad thing? It's dangerous. Weakness in my position gets you killed. He cupped my face. But I can't go back to who I was. You've changed me, Sophie. For better or worse. For better, I said firmly. Always for better. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. This isn't what you think, he said quickly. I know you're not ready for marriage. Hell, I'm not sure I'm ready for marriage again. But I wanted you to have this. He opened the box to reveal a ring, not a diamond, but a deep red ruby surrounded by black stones. It was my grandmother's. She wore it as a symbol of her place in the family, of her power. Dante, you're part of this family now, Sophie. Not as property, not as someone I'm keeping, but as my equal. My partner. He took the ring out, slid it onto my right hand. This means you're under my protection, yes, but it also means you have a voice, a say in how this empire runs. The other families will recognize this ring. They'll know you speak with my authority. I stared at the ring, at the way it caught the light. This is insane. Probably. He kissed my palm. But so is everything about us. So is the fact that you stayed after the attack, that you helped rescue Isabella, that you shot 2 men to protect my second in command. I haven't really processed that yet, I admitted quietly. I know, and we'll work through it together, just like we work through everything else. His arms came around me. I love you, Sophie Russo, and I want to build something new with you, something that acknowledges the darkness but reaches for light. I looked up at the estate, this fortress that had become home, thought about Luca, who called me his special friend and held my hand during scary movies. About Isabella, who'd thanked me with tears in her eyes for not giving up on finding her. About Elena, who'd slowly, reluctantly accepted my choice, even as she worried constantly. About Dante, this impossible, dangerous, tender man who'd let me see every part of him, monster and savior, killer and father, enemy and lover. I love you too, I said, even when it's terrifying, even when I know this life will never be simple or safe. I choose this. I choose you. He kissed me there in the garden, soft and slow and full of promise. When we pulled apart, I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Hope. Real, genuine hope. What are you thinking? I asked. That maybe we can actually do this. Build something different. Something better. He laced his fingers through mine, the ruby ring pressing between our palms. It won't be easy. There will be more violence, more danger, more impossible choices. I know. But we'll face it together. Together, I agreed. We walked back toward the house hand in hand, toward the sound of Luca's laughter and the complicated, dangerous, beautiful life we were building. I'd come to this estate months ago as a waitress who danced with a lonely boy. I was leaving as something else entirely, partner to a crime lord, protector of his son, holder of power I'd never imagined. My grandfather had been right. We're not our blood or our history. We're the choices we make in the present. And I'd chosen love, chosen family, chosen to believe that even in the darkest places, light could grow. As we reached the door, Dante paused. No regrets? I looked at the ring on my finger, thought about everything it symbolized, the danger and the devotion, the violence and the love, the past that haunted us and the future we'd fight for. Not a single one, I said. And I meant it. Because this was my life now. Our life. Built on blood and hope and the stubborn belief that we could be better than what we came from. It was messy, dangerous, morally complicated in ways that kept me up at night. But it was ours, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.